Section 2. Eschatology in the Old Testament. Class 9. In this class, we will be looking into the following Old Testament scriptures: Hosea 3 verses 4 to 5, Hosea 5 verses 3 to 7, 9 and 11 to 13, Hosea 5 verse 15, Hosea 6 verse 2, Joel 2 verses 1 to 32. Now let us begin with Hosea 3 verses 4 to 5. We see that we live in the reality of this scripture in our days. Israel, however, will seek God, and Jesus Christ their King, and experience His glory like they did in times of old. Hosea 5 verses 3 to 7, 9 and 11 to 13. We see here that the Lord is against the tribe of Ephraim and will remove them from their place, and He promises this in verse 9. Hosea 5 verse 15. Here, we see the prophet telling us that Israel will miss the time of their visitation, and as a result, He will not return unto them until they say to Him, Baruch haba Beshem Adonai. Hosea 6 verse 2. When you read the KJV of this verse, one will assume there is an emphasis on duration with respect to the second day because it says, after 2 days. However, from the Hebrew rendering we see that the translators introduced the emphasis. Going through the Message translation, we quickly observe that the translators noted it as in, and not after. This is a more accurate rendering because the Hebrew focuses on the fact that the occurrence is after the first day, and the verse guides us to see that it is before the second day. Therefore, this means, in 2 days we will be restored back to life from the threat of death, and by the third day, we will experience resurrection so that we will live with Him face to face. We see the first part of this verse fulfilled in 1948 AD, Independence Day of Israel, which is the second day according to prophetic numbering. Recall that a day is likened unto 1,000 years. The third day started in 2000 AD, and from that year, we entered the day of resurrection. Joel 2 verses 1 to 32. We can summarize the chapter based on the following grouped verses. The first 10 verses of this chapter speak of the scorched earth policy we saw executed in the First World War. The next 10 verses speak of the restoration of the land of Israel that occurred just after the Second World War. The next 9 verses speak of a mighty revival we are yet to see, but which aligns with the sixth seal revival that we await. A taste of this revival was seen on the day of Pentecost in Acts 2, but the fullness of this scripture will be experienced in the sixth seal revival. The final verses speak of the days of tribulation that quickly follows the awaited revival. It is worthy of note that in the days of these bloody darkness, salvation will still be accessible. The last verse also speaks of deliverance for 2 sets of people as seen below. This deliverance is two-folded, first for deliverance from this body of death, that is the last enemy, and then deliverance from the final judgment of fatal army that will match against Yahweh. 1. Mount Zion and Jerusalem. This speaks of Christians all over the world as seen in Hebrews 12 verse 22. 2. The called remnant. This speaks of the believers called out of the nation of Israel as seen in Romans 9 verse 27.